Hello and welcome to the Wardenberg Family Farm.
We have an exciting year ahead of us, and we're going to share some of those plans with you.
Well, it's a very cold and windy day outside, but that hasn't dampened our enthusiasm for our plans for this year, has it?
No, we started thinking about all the hopes and dreams we have for this coming year, and there's a lot of exciting stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm more than ever ready for spring.
But I guess for you that means garden. What's going to happen in the garden?
Garden's the first thing I think about.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of things I want to do. Number one, I have some maintenance to do. Early on, when we first moved in, I planted the orange daylilies, like the ones you see alongside the road. They were all around the farmhouse. So I thought, well, I'll use them.
I love those, though.
They're beautiful, but I have them on the end of every row. Well, they spread quickly, so they're taking over the vegetable beds. So every year I'm going to have to probably dig some more out and put them maybe along the fence line or something, but I need to get them out of the garden. So that's going to be a long-term project.
We do have room at the end of the orchard fence to put them along that row.
That's true. We could put them there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure it out, but they got to get out of my vegetable garden.
Okay.
And I also have some new things I'm going to plant. And partly from suggestions from viewers like you guys. Everybody seems to like golden raspberries. So we're going to be planting some golden raspberries. And we actually have a place where we tore out. We had too many red raspberries. We were out of hand. So I have a place right to put them. So they're going in, and we're going to be planting loofahs.
I never heard of them. I don't know. What are they?
They're like natural sponges. They're a squash plant technically, but they dry into like a fibrous sponge type thing. But they're natural. A lot of people use them. And our grandson Tice actually decided he wants to grow them. He wants to do more farming this year and gardening, so he wants to grow loofahs. So we're growing them.
Well, in fact, for a couple of our grandchildren are interested in having their own plot. So if they're anything like me, I'll take better care of it if that's something I'm responsible for and I own. And I think that they'll really work hard.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. And we also have a niece that wanted some gardening space, so she's going to be having a row or two in the garden. So it won't just be our gardening, it'll be other people's gardening. Oh, and one big project in the garden.
Yeah. I think you saw this shopping around the web, didn't you?
Well, looking on Pinterest, I started looking at all these pretty charming garden entrances. And right now we have the main gate in the garden where the tractor goes in and out. But I thought it would be nice just to have a door you can walk through that would be pretty, like with an arch and a gate.
Well, I like it because the door will be right there, right next to the picnic pavilion that we have. So if we have guests over and they want to go into the garden, they can just walk right in it. It's a man door, gate size.
Because right now they have to walk the whole way around the side of the garden to get to the tractor entrance.
But see, you're used to going in the garden. You drive your...
I drive my golf cart out.
Yeah, your garden mobile and drive it around the path, and you have all your equipment, and you go right to where you're working in the garden. I'm not sure how much you're going to use this gate.
I think I'll still use it. Maybe not a ton, but it's going to look pretty.
But it'll look pretty, that's for sure.
And I think more guests will use it than anything, you know? And just, I think it'd be good to have it there. And it's the side toward the house.
Yeah.
So if I am just running out for something quick, I can just go in that door.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be worth it, but that's a big project. And I have a couple experiments. The main one, I want to experiment with comfrey. We have comfrey growing between all the fruit trees, and I want to try doing some comfrey tea. Everybody said it's great fertilizer. I've never tried it, but I have plenty of comfrey. And I also want to try, I saw with potatoes. Saw one person dug their trench for the potatoes, chopped up comfrey, laid it in the trench, then planted the potatoes. So I want to see, I'm just going to experiment with a couple different ways.
Now there's a lot of ways to do potatoes, isn't there?
Yes.
And we have a lot of straw. Right now we have 15 acres in winter wheat, so we're going to have a lot of straw later in the spring. So maybe you could use that to plant.
I might do a couple of potato experiments, do it different ways and see which one works the best. But definitely want to play with comfrey this year.
So the comfrey now is right one plant between each tree, and it's expanding. And it's dominant in the area where it is, so no weeds can grow around it. So maybe we should let the comfrey grow more around the fruit trees so I don't have to weed.
Maybe. That's a question for you guys. If any of you have comfrey, have you planted it right next to your fruit tree? Like right around the fruit tree to keep the weeds down? Does it interfere with the fruit trees or is it good for it? So if you have advice on that, let us know. But we might toy with that idea and maybe try it.
Okay.
So, but the garden, it's going to be a really exciting year in the garden. I can't wait. Now I just need winter to go away.
Yeah, we're ready.
So I started thinking about the vegetable garden. He starts thinking about the orchard.
Well, last year we expanded the orchard. We put in a lot more peach trees and some more pears. And we have some other expansion room yet, so I think we're going to put in more sour cherries, probably Montmorency. And the big surprise hit of the whole orchard last year was the apricots.
They were so good.
Yeah.
All the grandkids loved them.
We have 2 varieties. Most of them were the Hercott. So I actually pulled some of the plum trees too, which we didn't care for the plum as much.
And they were weird trees.
Yeah. So we're going to put a few more in there. And I think there's just those 2 varieties, the Montmorency cherry and the Hercott, that we're going to put in. And then outside of the fenced orchard, we have a nut grove, which I planted about half of it last year. We have, chestnuts and different kind of walnuts.
Hazelnuts.
And hazelnut. So what I want to do is experiment in Pennsylvania, and we're zone 7 now. You can grow pecans. And they do have some northern variety pecans, and I have to be careful to get a type 1 and type 2 so that they, pollinate fine. So I'm looking for more information on it. I've been reading up and talking to a few people, but I know that the trees are going to live. I'm just not 100% sure that we're going to get good nut production.
That would be nice.
Yeah, it all has to do with the number of days of sunlight, and so more to come on that. I'm excited about it though.
Yeah, but his nut grove, the one section, is a whole new area, and there's going to be rows of the nut trees, but in between that there's going to be big strips where we can plant some things
for pollinators, for the field, for the honeybees that we have. So
right now we're thinking about doing one big section in sunflowers, and we did that one year, did a whole pasture in sunflowers. It was beautiful. And that's a lot of chicken food. All the sunflower seeds. And maybe do the other one in buckwheat, which is wonderful for pollinators. Plus, I love the buckwheat honey.
Yeah, that'll keep our bees busy all year because they both flower at different times.
Yeah,
so
it'll look pretty, and then the buckwheat, when it goes to seed, that's chicken food too. So and it's right next to the chicken coop.
Yeah,
I think that's a win-win situation.
Yeah, and there's a new type of tree. It's a cross between a hickory and a pecan. They're called pecans. So if you know anything about those, let me know.
Let us know if they taste like pecans.
Yeah. So how about your chickens?
I was going to say, I get just as excited about the chickens as I do the garden. And I do love the chickens, but there is one job this summer that I'm not looking forward to.
The annual clean out?
And we had a problem with rodents this winter. We had a problem 2 years ago, and we had a problem this year. And I realized I can do a little better job of rodent proofing the chicken run, the enclosed run. So we have some serious clean out to do, putting hardware wire down and putting a bunch more wood chips in.
Chickens can make a mess with all the dust and...
Yeah, it all needs pressure sprayed down. It's disgusting.
But all of that mulch that's down there, that's going to be golden, isn't it?
That is going to be amazing compost.
You're going to put that in the compost pile?
Yes, there's going to be a lot of chicken stuff in that compost pile. So that'll be good. That'll be very good. So that's the not fun part. The fun part I want to do is I want to grow more of their food.
I thought you were going to say chicks.
Well, that's going to be the most fun. I am getting baby chicks again this year. We didn't get any last year, and now we've had a couple die off, and I need to get some new chicks. So that's always fun. Yeah. I love getting those little baby chicks.
What are you getting, like 15?
I think it's 16.
16?
Yeah, okay. 16 little baby chicks. So I'm looking forward to that. But I do want to grow more of their food. Both things we're growing as crops, the buckwheat, the sunflower we mentioned, but also some millet, some amaranth. I'm trying a couple different things to grow. Plus, I want to harvest more weeds. I mean, we have a lot of weeds.
We should have plenty of them this year.
We have plenty of weeds, and that's free food for chickens. And a lot of it is like superfood for chickens. So I'm probably going to do a video on that, all the different weeds I use and give to them. And some of them, I want to see if I can dry them, like hang them up and dry them like herbs, and feed them to them in the winter. I don't know if that'll work or not, but I'm going to experiment. And comfrey's one thing I want to do that with. The chickens do love comfrey, and it's good for them. I want to see if I can hang some to dry. I mean, I almost picture it like tobacco hanging up and drying in the barn, and then have it to feed them in the winter, like comfrey hay. I don't know. I'm just going to experiment with that.
You know, when you start dreaming about your chickens, every year you come to me with one thing and ask if we can do it. You know what that is?
Chicken tunnels.
Yeah.
And every year he's like, oh, you don't want to do that. That's going to be a pain. Yeah. I'm going to do it one way or another.
You want to run the tunnels all over. Like, why can't we just put them in those balls? I see those, those balls that you put a chicken in and they can roll around.
Well, number one, they have to be able to get back into the coop, into their nests to lay eggs. So with a chicken tunnel, they can go out and around, explore, and then come back to lay their eggs. theoretically. So that's on my list. We'll see if it actually gets done this year. It depends on how much assistance I get.
Mine's not really sound advice. It's just to avoid the work.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to having more food. And along with that, I want to plant some more plants. I have some around the run that they eat through the fence, but I want to have more plants around their enclosed run that they can eat. And probably some more things in their run that I can chicken-proof enough that they don't kill it, but they get food from it. So.
And their eggs are worth gold this year, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, we definitely want to get... We're treating our chickens extra nice this year. But it should be nice. I mean, I want the chicken yard to be pretty, you know, as pretty as a chicken yard can be.
Another exciting project that we're working on now is inside the barn. Now some of it is just some maintenance items, like we've already worked on replacing the floor, but some of it is a clean out and exploring with some really unique items, antique items that we're not really sure what they are.
Yeah.
But we're hopeful that some of you can help us identify them. But we've got a lot of old wood and pieces to organize and clean up. And then we're going to work on an area for the kids to come and play, a barnasium. So we're going to put up a basketball hoop, and they can play hockey in there, volleyball. And then we have areas for the little kids to play and crawl and go up in forts, and a viewing area over the basketball thing. So it's really going to be exciting to see how that comes out.
It's going to be cool. My one granddaughter and I sat and looked at Pinterest one day and have all kinds of decorating ideas, how to make it really cool too.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, but I think the kids are going to love it
Yeah.
for years to come.
Especially when it's not warm enough to be outside. They can play in the barn and get out of the wind, and they love being here. So.
And then in other areas, not as exciting, but down below is just a 160-year-old stone wall that needs some mortar and some patching and working. So I need to work on that in the spring and the summer. Now right now we don't have any cattle in it. They were set to the butcher in the fall. So early spring I'm going to work on repairing some of the stonework there, and we'll bring you along for that too.
Our pavilion needs a few finishing touches too. If you've never seen it, we have a pavilion that we built when we first moved in, and the whole roof is solar panels. So that pavilion provides us with a lot of electricity and a beautiful place to have gatherings. And we use that place heavily in spring, summer, and fall. And he did just last summer put in a beautiful floor on the thing with pavers. It turned out so nice, but there's a few more touches we can do.
I have to build more benches and seating area there, and I also want to build, at the end, I want to build an area with a server bar for two reasons. One is that it can help serve the food and drinks that we have. The other is I want to build it up a little higher because it'll act as a wind block. In the spring and early in the summer, we get a lot of breezes here on the farm, and we don't want the plates and things blowing away when we're having
We've
a
already had
picnic.
dinners where people have to sit and hold their plate so it doesn't blow away while they eat. So we need wind block.
Along those same lines, on the sides, we're going to put panels. They're fabric panels that are woven loosely, that they let about 20% of the air through.
And they'll go up and down, so they won't be down all the time, but we can put them down when we need them.
And they also block the sun, so when it's really hot, it'll be good. So I think it's going to look great, and it's going to be functional, and we're going to have a great place to for picnics. The other thing is, I used to have the outside kitchen right next to the pavilion. Now I moved it across to where the old silo was.
The corn crib.
Corn crib.
Yeah, it was a corn crib patio for a while. We didn't use it that way. This is a much better use for it. It gets the cooking things away from the little kids. He has this whole area to cook.
Grills and griddles and all the things you need to cook. And it's far enough away that little kids won't be in on it when they're in the pavilion, but it's close enough that you'll smell the wonderful smells coming from the grill.
Yeah, so that's going to be a nice upgrade. Now we also have an area that's like 6 acres, like a swath around the outside of the farm that's called a crepe area.
It's the outside perimeter.
Conservation, what is
Reserve.
it? Reserve Environment Protection. something like that. But we,
Close.
yeah, the USDA helped us put in a beautiful field of grasses and native wildflowers, and it is beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is. I think there's some maintenance he has to do this year.
Yeah. The 5th year of the contract, you're supposed to mow it, which helps eliminate any weeds. We're fortunate that we have very few weeds in there. The only thing that did grow through in the 1st year, we had some trees pop up. And so I'll have to remove those. That shouldn't be too difficult.
No.
And I have the proper brush hog and tractor. I should be able to cut the field. So after that, the grasses and all of the sunflowers and wildflowers should grow, you know, terrific.
It's so pretty because over the seasons, different flowers bloom all summer. So it's constantly changing how it looks. So it's really pretty, and it's very nice because the wildlife do really like it. It, you know, helps protect water runoff. It serves a lot of good purposes, and it looks really pretty.
You know who uses that as far as animals? The bluebirds are there. We have bluebird boxes all around, right on the edge of the farm field and where the wildflower field is. And the bluebirds, particularly in the spring, just flying in and out of there. They're beautiful. We'll have to show you them someday.
And deer like hanging out in there.
Yeah. Well, as you know, we were really excited to get a farmhouse that's going to be approaching 200 years old, and we've been working on the property for 5 years, and just recently we've taken an interest in who lived in this house before we did and what happened years and years ago. So we've been doing the research, and we were up at the Cumberland County Courthouse, and there's some online, there's some resources there, and figuring out who lived here and when, and it's fascinating. One thing that's really interesting is right at the end of our farm, there was a one-room schoolhouse. And many of the children from the farms in the area go to that schoolhouse. They're supposed to have a schoolhouse so that children don't have to walk more than 1.5 miles to go to school. So we learned some interesting things about the community in this process, and we're really anxious to share them with you.
So what do you think? Are we going to have a fun year?
Absolutely.
Exciting year? Another year of some hard work, but we do have one more thing on our list that we have on our list every year. We need to relax more, have fun, and ride our bikes more. So we say that every year, and we get a little bit better, but we need to do even better this year and take care of ourselves and just do fun things like that, and bring people over to the farm, do more entertaining. Yeah. Because we love doing that.
Well, we do have a family vacation set this year,
yes,
so that
we
should
do.
help.
The whole family is going to a lake for a week.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
And we are committed to get back out on the bikes, because I know that gives you extra energy.
Yeah, it actually gives me more energy than taking it.
Believe it or not, but you're the happiest when you're riding.
I am, when I'm riding my bike. So that's on the list. It's at the bottom, but it should be at the top.
Yeah.
So, but it is going to be a really good year. So that's some of our plans. Now you have to come along and see how we do in implementing them. See if we actually do all those things. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.